afternoon. This is the Eclectic News Network. My name is Brian here. Today is March 11th, 2021. Today is, of course, if you don't remember, on this date, 10 years ago, when Fukushima, Daiichi plant in Japan, basically had a radiation leak, and of course the explosion 2 days later. So basically just a memory of how bad our nuclear systems are, and just a moment of silence for them today, and what they went through. Same for all the ones in April of 86 with Chernobyl, 79 with 3 Mile Island. I'm not necessarily anti nuclear, but I think there has to be a way that we can off-gas it or something. I don't know. Instead of watching pornography and Netflix and, eating Hot Pockets, maybe we can figure a way to work on a solution. But anyways, how you all doing today? Today is, of course, a Thursday. Today is March 11, 2011. My name is Brian here with the Eclectic News Network. And I kind of wanted to talk today about a couple things that have been on my mind. Everybody wants to talk about the current events. I mean, really, Joe Biden isn't the president, as much as I'm, driving a Ferrari. I don't believe that he is. I think somebody else is pulling the strings. Who knows what it is? I really don't care at this point. Because, the $1.9 trillion stimulus was passed, and everybody's getting $1,400, but not realizing the amount of the stimulus that it's going to cause inflation. Now, people are going to say, well, inflation's low, so there's really no reason to be concerned. I disagree. I think that there is real inflation. If you look at oil prices, there's real inflation year over year, month over month. There's real inflation in food prices for sure. If you go to the grocery store, grocery bill for pretty much the same amount of items since last year has gone up about 11%. And I'm not talking steaks or anything. I'm just talking staple items like butter, milk, eggs, flour, ham, chicken. I'm not talking about like filet mignon or Wagyu beef, or Kobe beef. I'm not talking about that. So that inflation is going up exponentially worse, with no cost of living increase as a result of the pandemic. So economically, basically, we are in a very unique situation where the private bankers, in their infinite wisdom, go ahead and print trillions of dollars. 40% of dollars ever printed were printed last year in circulation. And when you increase that by 400%, and you try to cut it, you can't cut it 400%. You can't cut interest rates because they're already at zero. You cannot raise rates to 400%. If you did that, you would cause a cardiac arrest, and the economy would spiral into hyperinflation. So what are they doing? Well, what they're doing is they're propping up the asset bubble so that way they can keep prices as high as they possibly can. So that way, in turn, they can go ahead and basically squeeze even more wealth from the regular folk, and the regular people in the world. And that's what they want to do. They don't really care about you or I. $1,400 is nothing compared to the months that people have been out of work. The stimulus is nothing more than a quieting of a riot. That's what I call it. It's basically a bribe to not for the plebs or the people that live in Slavelandia to riot. So that's usually what that is. It's usually a bribe to not riot. However, that $1,400 is not going to be buying much in the next 6 months, because with increased energy prices, cutting out the coal, which they want to do, that is 52% of America's power is clean burning coal. I know you green energy people do not like it, but it actually costs more to actually extract energy to make a solar panel, and actually more detriment to the environment to get rare earth minerals. A lot of people think, oh, rare earth minerals, that's an economic, It's ecologically great. Do you ever see how they do that? They use an acid wash. It's very bad. It's not one time they do it. It's hundreds of times. So we offshored that in the 70s to China. Now China is, of course, rare earth mineral leader in that. So they're going to be polluting the world instead of us. They have no pollution controls. We do. So we have to sit here and suffer. But that's okay because, we're going to get $1,400. Even though it won't really buy much. Just looking at cost of living and everything right now, rent in my area is going up 7%. It usually is about 1 or 2 or 3%. Last year was like 1% only. 7%. Even during a pandemic, it's going up 7% this year. It's insane. And people are like, why can't people get their act together? I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're living in an interest rate apartheid where basically the private banks on the other side of the apartheid wall, interest rate wall, they get access to 0% or near 0% rates. They get to go ahead and buy up the assets at very little risk, pass the cost on to you or I that have to pay 5 or 6% or 3 or 4%, or in some cases 39% for a credit card. And we're stuck in this debt boom and bust cycle for years and years while the rich get just even more wealthier. And it's kind of an attack that people don't really see because we have they have marketing employees and marketing campaigns that bash the people that can't save money and bash the people who don't know how to use credit cards wisely, even though these credit card companies are always predatory and they don't give a shit about you. Their goal, for the most part, is to get you into debt, to basically make you a debtor slave. That is their goal. How do you defeat it? Well, number one, you have to buy precious metals, because precious metals or Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is a stopgap on inflation. But not only that, it actually tends to worsen their asset prices, because then people know, oh my gosh, gold's up to $3,000. My assets are going up. Well, I don't want that. Another thing you need to do to level the playing field is to get rid of the interest apartheid wall. Make interest rates fair for everybody. The business that's wanting to borrow that money, they don't get 0% or near 0%. They have to pay 5 to 6% for that money. That'll take the unnecessary risk. It'll collapse asset prices, which is a good thing in my opinion. The regular person can actually have a chance, and then things level out. But if you do that right now, it's going to cause such a panic and such a pain. So a house that's worth $400,000, if you increase interest rates just 1%, the value of that house will go down to $320,000. If you raise it to 5% and a mortgage is 8%, the bank charges 3 on top of the 5. You're looking at the house going down to $150,000. Now, people that have equity and that are claiming I can live off of the assets and how much they go up, it's not going to last forever, but they're trying to make it last forever. So I don't believe that that's the case. I don't think they're going to be able to get away with it forever. They're just getting enough to where they want to be able to make the amount of money they can on their investment. That's the truth. So I think that you're going to see a lot of different people have issues in the future with getting loans, but not only that, the FICO scores or whatever, they prop them up when, FICO score is basically only as good as you paying on time or you actually having credit or debt. If you don't have debt, you don't have a FICO score. And you don't need a credit score. Is it harder? Yes. That means you have to employ what is called delayed gratification. If you want that washer and dryer, like if I want a Max Air fan, that's $400. I can put it on a credit card today. But people say, well, I have 0% for 12 months. I'll just pay it back. 95% of people don't do that. There is a small few that do that, but it's very rare. They bank on the fact that you do that. Or if I have a credit card that has 15%, I get cash back. By the time I'm done paying for that fan, it's almost $1,000. Instead of waiting, okay, well, I don't have the money right now, but if I work a little bit of overtime or if I work on a project to make extra money, well, in a month and a half, I can buy that fan with cash. And it'll cost me that amount. I don't have to pay anything extra. So I think Americans have to get prepared for delaying gratification instead of just going out and buying everything they can see. I think that's going to be the only answer. Because you can't, if you live within your means, and I think I've had that issue in the past, but once you start living your means, it sucks at first because it's almost like a drug addict. You're a shopping addict. You're addicted to spending money. When you stop doing it, there's a depression. However, there's also a sense of serenity and peace. You don't have that stress anymore, and your health actually gets better when you have, let's say, 5 to 7 months of emergency expenses just in case something happens. When that happens, you're more uppity and you're able to make rational decisions. The government does not want you to be uppity. The government does not want you to make rational decisions. Finance companies want you to make irrational decisions. That's why they tend to manage their research, and they market to women 80% of the time, because women tend to make purchases based on feeling and emotion. Men are more executive in their function, where they tend to make it more on what is practical. Don't get mad at me, all you feminists out there. I'm just telling you the facts. This is all research. Okay? No need to get all Karen on me. I'm just telling you the truth. That's all I'm offering here. This is a red pill conversation. This isn't, a little patty cake. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. No. This is, hey, you know what? This is the way it is. This is what research show. That's why they do that, because they think that women are much more smarter than men. Well, in some respects, yes. Women tend to have, how do I want to say it, more protective estrogen in the brain. So they tend to last a lot longer in life, meaning they live longer. Also, men tend to be more like a high-performance sports car, in the sense that they tend to be driven and more motivated a lot of times. And this is not all the cases, folks. This is not a broad brush, but they tend to die sooner. Just like an engine that's turbocharged. You ever drive a turbocharged engine? Turbochargers go out quicker. And that's usually what the case is. So there's benefits on both sexes. I'm not talking about this. It's not an issue about man or woman. I'm just saying that that's why they ploy to market towards women. Because women justify their feelings on a purchase, men justify the practicality of the purchase, for the most part. Some men go through a midlife crisis and buy a van like I did and want to travel the country, but for the most part, it's more of a practical decision. So the economy itself is in shambles. There's no way to fix it. The only way you can fix it is by working on your own personal economy institute, in the sense of creating a budget. But not only that, buying gold, buying silver, having multiple streams of income, not just one, but also to be very careful of who you marry. Make sure that they are the right person. Also, make sure that you look at your finances, balance your checkbook, simple things like that. I balance my checkbook every month, because sometimes there's an error, and it's either my error or it's the bank's error. And if you have that proof, there was a time where I had $34 that was unaccounted for. That was mine, but it was taken out because they charged me a fee, even though I don't get fees on my account. But if I didn't pay attention to it, it would just be gone. And this is how banks make their fees. So in the future, I think we're going to go back to an agrarian type of economy, where we barter, we tend to buy things when we can, with of course, discipline and delayed gratification. This is Brian with the Eclectic News Network. You guys all have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.